What's up, Nail Geeks, and welcome back to another Little Box of Horrors video. This month we have the theme International Anime. That's super excited. My husband and I have always been anime nerds ourselves, even though the last probably like 2-3 years we've definitely been out of that whole pop culture side because we've just been gaming a ton. But anyways, so super nerded out for some of these inspirations. If you're new to Indie Polish, if you're new to just Little Box of Horrors in general, you don't know what it is a monthly box featuring dozens of makers, and the general prompt each month is some type of pop culture horror theme. So of course it's a big deal around these parts when it's around Halloween time. The makers that I feature in this video are just a couple that are featured. There are more. These are the makers that chose me to represent their polishes through photography and through my video reviews. So there's going to be a lot more. By the time I get this video up, the preview and or the site should be live this coming weekend, and you should be able to get in there and grab what you're wanting. If you see anything that on my labels for each of the polishes that have a cap, that means that that's how many bottles are available. Sometimes makers can increase that, sometimes they can't. It depends on supplies that they have on hand, any ordering of pigments, things like that. So without further ado, let's dive in and check out some anime. I want to note real quick that I am missing several polishes from this month's video. So if I do get them in time before the shop closes, fingers crossed, I will be posting the swatches and the mini videos to the Little Box of Horrors Facebook group. I want everyone on this channel to give Cracked Polish a warm welcome. We have Human Form, a soft mauve base with enchanted gold and pink shimmers. This is inspired by Nezuko Kamado from Demon Slayer. Price is $13, and there's a cap of 150 bottles. I have to say, for my first set of cracked polish, this one and the next one, I gotta say I'm very impressed. The formula on Human Form is buttery, smooth, incredibly satisfying with that wide brush. It is chef's kiss. 2 coats and it dries down semi-flat, so use any top coat really. Cracked Polish also brings us Silent Rage. This is a dark plum satin polish with micro red glitter. This one also has the same inspiration. Price is $13, and there is a cap of 150 bottles. So on the first coat, Silent Rage started off, to my eye, at least the way I was feeling with the brush, almost like a jelly, but it plumped up perfectly on that second coat. Again, I was very thoroughly impressed for my first impression with this brand. And if you have not heard of Cracked Polish, this brand opened up, I believe, this year. It's a newer brand, but I am here for it with these formulas. Holy crap. I'm going to suggest 2 to 3 coats, depending on your preference. I went up to that third coat because of science, and also I do typically prefer third coats, but it is your preference. If you are like me and you do want to do 3 coats, I would suggest thin coats, as this is beautifully opaque, rich, and smooth. It does have a touch of thirstiness and a touch of texture from the glitters, so use a good glossy top coat. Danglefoot brings us one of my favorite complicated characters. This is Azula, described as a red metallic flake with a subtle gold to orange shimmer and a red jelly base. This is inspired from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Price is $13.50, and there is a cap of 50 bottles. Azula is a very true to the inspiration, warm type of fiery red. This is going to translate as a topper pretty well, as you'll see in a few moments. I'm going to suggest 2 to 3 coats. I chose 3 coats because it starts off almost like a topper, and I do have very wide nails, but your preference, it's a softer type of buildup, and what's going to give you the opacity is the flakes themselves. So your choice. It does dry down thirsty, so you might want to use a glitter smoother. And Danglefoot's second contribution is Beerus. This is a mix of blue and pink micro glitters and a smoky base with reflective glitters. This one's inspired from the character from Dragon Ball. Price is $13.50, and there's a cap of 50 bottles. I apologize if I said the name incorrectly. I, for one, could never really get into Dragon Ball. I know some people are going to come at me for that, but I just couldn't. Anyways, this one is a beautiful sparkly, good blingy type of polish. I did use a glitter smoother and a glossy top coat because it did leave me a touch textured, but it is chef's kiss on that sparkle factor. 2 coats was all I needed. Jen and Berry's Demon on Wheels is a red berry base with intense red to gold shifty shimmer and scattered hollow microflakes. This one's inspired by Speed Racer, price is $12, and there's a cap of 200 bottles. This is another beautiful, I guess red is how I would also classify this too, but very much like Azula, it is a fiery, bright type of red. This is a stunner too. This month, I'm telling you, the makers really brought it this month. Demon on Wheels has a beautifully smooth, almost jelly-like base, but it builds to opacity very well. I'm going to suggest 3 coats and a glossy top coat. Jen and Berry's second contribution is You Look Better Alive. This is a blackened blue jelly base with a subtle midnight blue shimmer and scattered holographic microflakies. This one's also inspired by Speed Racer. Price is $13.50 and there's a cap of 200 bottles. You Look Better Alive is a fantastic jelly formula. It is super smooth and glossy in how it dries down. It is very satisfying on how you build it up. I'm going to suggest 3 light to normal coats to build it up and give you full coverage and maximize that base color. It is so inky, dark, vampy, and good. In bright lights, sunshine, what have you, you will see that gorgeous, soft, very fine particled holographic look. Paradox Polish brings us Talk to Me. This is a topper full of flakes. I chose to show it over black as I thought it would have those flakes pop the best. So honestly, this is going to look great over any color. The flakes themselves are of what I consider the earthy variety. So you're going to get that nice fall foliage looking appearance. It did leave me quite thirsty. So you might want to use a glitter smoothing top coat with a glossy top coat, regardless of any undie you wear. And Paradox's second polish is Parasite. This is a tornado full of gold, bronze, green, red iridescent flakes. We have this burgundy raisin looking base color. It's very true to a jelly finish. So whether you wear it at 2 or 3 coats is going to depend on how deep that base color comes out. With that said, I prefer to wear this at 3 incredibly thin coats. The flakes are of the chonkier variety, so you want to make sure that you're not going to have over buildup, meaning you're not going to have too much polish on your nails to where you kind of smudge it if you go in with your top coat, if that makes sense. It allows it to dry down properly. You will need a glitter smoother with this one though. Wicked Polish brings us a couple contributions this month. This first one is Chainsaw Man Pochita. And I, again, apologize if I said that incorrectly. This is an orange polish with orange to red shifty shimmer. This one's inspired by its namesake. Price is $15 and there is a cap of $50. We have a jelly formula going on here. It was very smooth on application. I'm going to suggest 3 coats to build it up. Now, if you have a super prominent free edge, I could see the tiniest, and I mean tiniest bit of a smile line peeking through if you have one. So just wanted to note that my standard nude to you cream or a blurring base of some sort would apply in that situation. Wicked's next contribution is Cyberpunk Rebecca. This is a pink to black thermal with teal shifty shimmer and gold to pink micro holographic glitters. This one's inspired by its namesake. Price is $15 and there's a cap of 50 bottles. Cyberpunk has a true jelly, very squishy, kind of flirting with being a crelly almost, and on that squishy factor and how it builds up. So I'm going to suggest 2 normal or 3 thin coats. I honestly thought 2 normal coats was perfect. Regardless, you will need a glitter smoothing top coat and a glossy top coat, as this did dry down with a touch of thirstiness. Eren Yeager is described as a candy blue holographic polish with blue-green multichrome flakies and a mix of blue-green glitters. This one's inspired by Attack on Titan. Price is $15 and there's a cap of 50 bottles. We have a jelly type of formula. This is what I would consider a true jelly, meaning you will not see full opacity depending on whether you're wearing falsies or you are having some sort of natural free edge to your nails. I'm going to suggest 3 light coats on this one. You'll get a beautiful pond effect. You will see those flakes in between your layers, and use a glitter smoothing top coat and glossy top coat, as those flakes are very much almost like confetti pieces, but they will leave you textured. And lastly, we've got Wicked's The Rumbling. This is a deep candy red holographic with red multichrome flakes. This one's also inspired by Attack on Titan. Price is $15 and there's a cap of 50 bottles. This one's kind of similar to Yeager in that it's got a true jelly formula. I think it's a touch more opaque, and that's probably because this is a darker base color in general, but I do think you might see just the tiniest bit of a smile line peeking out in very bright lights if you have some sort of free edge. My same application advice will apply to this one as it did on the previous. Use 3 light coats. Those flakes are on the heavier side, so you'll also need a glitter smoothing top coat to smooth it out. And we're going to wrap this up with the Will It Topper segment. This is where I use a black swatch stick to demonstrate if polishes have layering capabilities. The cracked polishes are so beautifully, perfectly opaque. I do not recommend using these as toppers. They definitely showed up over the black, but I think you're kind of wasting your time. It's too perfect to topper. Danglefoot, Azula, and Beerus both work, but personally, I would not. I don't know. I think they work, but I would not topper them. They're too sparkly and perfect on their own too. Both Gin and Berries also works too. I guess I'm just feeling a little bit negative on a lot of these. They are so glowy good and their special effects across the board, and all of these are so magnificent. I would not topper them and or dull them down by diluting them over a undie of some sort. Paradox works very well. Please note it is very tinted in person though. And then the Wickeds kind of work. We do have mostly jelly-like finishes going here. I personally didn't care for them toppered though. Cyberpunk Rebecca is a thermal, and while it does look cool over black, you are taking away all that beautiful thermal properties. And then the last two here, the Attack on Titan polishes, I wouldn't topper these because again, they are jellies respectively, and I just categorize jellies in with creams. I think they're undies on their own regard. This is a pre-order style box, and the pre-order is going to run from October 18th through October 30th. I will link you all below to Little Box of Horror's website on where to shop, and I'll also link you to the Facebook group where there is lots of information there, additional swatches, all the other makers that are available for this box are also in there too, and there's tons and tons of additional photos, things like that to check out. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.